Let's get ready to meet today's starting lineup. First, for the visiting Eagles from Jacksonville, Florida, playing guard number 2, Renata Brown. At guard number 10, Layla Harvey. At guard number 4, Emma Parrish. At guard number 13, Victoria Broadway. And playing forward, 23, Madeline Tuesday. Trinity Baptist is coached by Alicia Lewis. Her assistant coaches are Juliana Scott, Jared Lewis, and Michelle Jones. And now, your starting lineup for your 2023-24 Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Playing guard number 1, CatEye Network. At guard number 10, Aloria Tucker. At forward number 12, Chanel McDonald. At guard number 21, Kerrigan Merwin. At playing guard number 22, Chanel Wilson. Bethune-Cookman is
Well, for the final time in 2023, hello and a very warm welcome from Moore Gymnasium on the campus of Bethune-Cookman University in beautiful but blustery downtown Daytona Beach, Florida. My name is Michael Trevello. Happy to have your company. Henson White joins me for the final game of this calendar year on the CatEye Network, and it seems like it's flown by, Henson.
Yeah, I mean, already the season, at least in Moore Gymnasium, is coming to the close for this 2023 year. We've had some moments and some highlights throughout it, buzzer beaters, all that fun stuff. But here we are with the Wildcats closing out against these Eagles from Jacksonville and Trinity Baptist.
Yeah, a second straight team out of the NCCAA, the National Collegiate Christian Association Division II. We played Johnson on Tuesday and won 96-24 as the Wildcats round off their home schedule at their third game of the week and their third game against non-Division I opposition. Beat Warner out of the NAIA on Saturday. Wildcats win the tip, and here we go. Chanel McDonald immediately working down low and draws the foul.
Yeah. And look for a lot of what we just saw in that quick little possession there. Not much height on this Trinity Baptist team, and we know this Wildcats team loves to play in the paint. We haven't shot well from the three-point line beyond the arc for much of this season, so look for more of that paint play as the game continues.
First points of the day scored from the free throw line by Chanel McDonald. And to your point about three-point shooting, the Wildcats' three-point percentage as a team has actually gone down this week, whereas their overall field goal percentage has gone up to nearly 40%.
Yeah. But as you see here, this press, we've seen it all week against these the opposition we've been playing in Moore Gymnasium. This hard press that teams have a lot of problems getting up court with, but Trinity Baptist done a decent job of getting across half court.
Yeah. Look for the Wildcats to press hard on the defensive side and look to force turnovers. This Wildcats team loves to steal the ball. And is that a shot clock violation? It is. The ball never hit the rim. Nice defensive possession from the Wildcats to start us off.
Yep, same exact thing actually happened, a little case of deja vu against Johnson. We saw that immediate, possession press, and then we saw a shot clock violation on their first couple of possessions. So maybe Trinity Baptist looks to
look at that
similar thing
beautiful
happen.
post move by Chanel McDonald. He's already up to 4 points.
Yep. But look for Trinity Baptist to score a lot. I mean, they broke their scoring record this year all time in an earlier game this year against Beacon College, scoring around 91 points. So
Beacon College, a common opponent among all three of the teams the Wildcats have played this week. And actually, Trinity Baptist has played them twice, and that's 2 of their 3 wins. The Eagles sitting at 3-7. Their other victory coming against Ecclesia College out of Northwest Florida.
Yeah. They played another HBCU in Savannah State earlier in the year as well.
First points for Trinity Baptist, and it's going to be an and one opportunity for Emma Parrish out of Palm Coast, FPC.
Yep. As a Matanzas grad, I'm a little bit of home rivalry there, but a nice layup there and a tough finish for the and one opportunity.
Just like we saw with Johnson, 90% of these players for Trinity Baptist are from the state of Florida. Katia Bogan is from Wheaton, Illinois, but played her high school basketball in Alabama. Catch and shoot from the wing for Chanel Wilson as she is on the board.
That's how you get that three-point percentage up. High opportunity looks there, and then making those open shots as this press.
Can give teams opportunities in the paints, and Layla Harvey can't hit that one. Especially the Wildcats playing this 4-guard, 1-forward lineup at the moment with Chanel McDonald the only big in the starting rotation for the Wildcats.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, you know, try your lineup sometimes as that is off.
Yep, but Deshaunte Edwards gets the offensive rebound, can't get the putback, but the Wildcats will maintain possession as it goes off of Harvey down low.
Yeah. Look for a lot of second chance opportunities, second chance points. When you have the height advantage like that, it makes it way easier to crash your offensive boards and defensive boards as a catch and shoot
Left
is off.
Short by Wilson, defensive rebound by the Eagles. And that's the first almost steal. Deshaunte Edwards taps it out of bounds. The Wildcats currently 8th in all of Division I in steals per game, 13.2. And Kerrigan Dunn is tops for the Wildcats in steals at 28. She currently sits tied for 22nd in the country.
This Wildcats team loves playing hard defense.
And we're going to get an off-the-ball foul against Omariah Tucker.
Yeah, and one of the things you're going to see with hard defense is you're going to have some fouls and you're going to have some bumps and bruises throughout the season, but all those steals have amounted to a lot of turnover points. It's a nice pass there.
Yeah, nice inbounds pass to find Emma Parrish. Parrish averaging 10.7 points per game.
And currently their team captain as well. Is that a 3 second?
Offensive 3 seconds against Chanel McDonald. And the last 2 games we played this week, the referees have pretty much let a lot go.
Yeah.
And not a lot of fouls have been called. This came already 3 fouls on the Wildcats, 1 foul on Trinity.
Yeah.
And a 3-second violation, which you don't often see called. A lot of times referees will give both offensive and defensive players the benefit of the doubt in the painted area. Nice block at the top of the key by Wilson. And then a reach-in foul is going to be called against Trinity Baptist on the breakout.
We've seen a lot of, interesting is the right word for it, refereeing calls in Moore Gymnasium to start out the year. We've seen some violations and fouls that we haven't seen called often.
Yeah.
So
watch for that palming violation.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of palming violations. Made me look up the rule with how much they were calling it.
Wilson, straight on triple. A little bit too strong. Another second chance opportunity for the Wildcats, but that ball is dribbled out past the corner. And it'll be still Wildcat ball as it last touched an Eagle on the way out.
This is a different kind of start to a game than we've seen in the past 2 games in Moore Gymnasium. But at least the past game with Johnson, where the Wildcats kind of just came out to a commanding lead and never really let that lead go and kind of let off the pedal in the second half. But this Trinity Baptist team is not, coming in here quietly. They're making a point.
And we've seen the Wildcats really utilize nice extra pass to find Kayla Clark. Kayla Clark has been the best player for Bethune-Cookman these last 2 games. 17 points on Saturday and 18 on Tuesday against Johnson. Team highs both times. And, of course, she got the double-double against Johnson last time out. You can see some of the height down low for Bethune-Cookman causing Trinity some troubles. Scramble underneath the basket. It's going to be a tie-up. Possession arrow should favor Trinity.
I mean, you see that height coming into play, but you also see when you can't get your hands, one of the benefits of being a shorter player in those kind of scramble ball situations, you'd have that lower center of gravity. The ball, if someone catches it and brings it down, you're already down there trying to swat at it, so it kind of makes it a little bit harder.
Baseline jumper. Hung on the rim for a while. Won't go, but Trinity's going to get another possession as that ball's last touched by Clark.
Parrish seems to be, at least to start this game out, their main point of emphasis offensively. She's 2 for 3 now with that miss, but she has taken most of their shots and I think scored all of their points currently.
Yep, all 5 of their points scored by Parrish. That ball will go out of bounds, Wildcat ball. Watch out for Madeline Tuesday as well. She's their leading scorer, 13.3 points per game, a former Wekiva High School standout. Won a state title and finished state runner-up 3 times at Wekiva. Deshante Edwards with some speed downhill to the rim.
Harvey from Thomasville, Georgia, looks to bring the ball up the court.
As a block, oh, I thought it was going to be a block by Edwards, but a late whistle.
Yeah. I didn't initially see the contact on the ball or the player. I thought it was just a miss all the way around, but foul is called. Ref has a better angle than we do up in the corner of Moore Gymnasium here.
Yeah, and with 5 minutes and 39 seconds to go in this first quarter, it's already bonus territory for Trinity Baptist.
Yeah, a lot of early fouls in this first quarter. Something that we didn't see in the other games this week was the Wildcats getting the early foul trouble, which is something that they've been looking to avoid throughout the season, but they've sent the Eagles to the line here, and you'd have to hope as a Wildcat fan that Trinity isn't good from the line this game.
Turnover by Kayla White gives the Eagles another chance. Hesitation move from Paris gets her to the baseline. Trinity looked to reset, but nobody was at the top of the key. 3-pointer, but the long rebound comes down to Parrish.
That 3-pointer almost was like a 2 3-pointers in the singular possession.
Yeah,
and another
both of
rebound.
them. And a third.
Another one.
And the Wildcats finally get the rebound. A little bit of pressure applied by the Eagles, but the Wildcats do come away with it. Kayla White.
Yeah, you can't say that the Eagles are scared to shoot. I mean, three pointers in one possession. Another
turnover. Wildcats sloppy with the ball here early on. Parrish gets the layup, and it's 11-8 VCU.
Yeah, I mean, 4 fouls, 4 personals, and 2 turnovers to start this game out is not what you want to see if you're a Wildcat fan, especially with this past 2 games where the Wildcats looked rather dominant. Just seeing the Wildcats struggle for the first time in a little while.
Yeah, that's a nice post move by Kayla Clark. Uses the shoulder, creates space to put the ball up with the right hand. And that's got to be the modus operandi for the Wildcats. Just punish the Eagles because of their lack of height. Right place, right time. Kayla White with the steal. Pass ahead to Damani Dorsey for the layup. And this is how the Wildcats get away from teams, right? Forcing steals, pressing on defense, and creating extra opportunities.
Yeah.
As we have hit the first media timeout. SWAC conference play is up next for BCU basketball. Come support your Wildcats as they host the Rattlers of Florida A&M on Saturday, January 6th at Moore Gym. The women tip things off at 2 p.m., followed by the men at 4. Tickets start at $15. Can't make it? Catch all the action live on youtube.com/CatEye Network. And, of course, before then, the Wildcats go on the road. They'll play 2 games, neutral site at Stetson, the 19th and 20th. That's against Valparaiso and North Carolina A&T, former MEAC foe for the Wildcats, now plying their trade in the Coastal Athletic Association. So if you're in the area and want to watch some more basketball, get on out to Stetson. And then 1 game at Mercer on the 30th to close out 2023. And if the Wildcats can take 2 out of 3 from that little road swing, they are very well set up. They have the best non-conference record in the SWAC right now at 6-3, looking to go 7-3
tonight. Yeah, I mean, it's it looks really good. It makes other teams, come into Moore Gym, or when they go on the road to travel to your Jackson States and Alabama States and Arkansas Pine Bluffs. And when you see a team, even if you want to say, well, scheduling wise and teams that they played, you argue, oh, well, the weighting of the, but at the end of the day, a win's a win. And anytime a team comes into your arena, stadium, whatever, with a winning record, especially a good winning record, it makes it a little harder as a competitor, because you're like, man, they have that winning thing down. This isn't this team that knows how to win. They know how to win in different ways. They know how to win close. They know how to win in a blowout situation.
And
all that kind of stuff.
you say the quality of opposition, and yes, this week, Warner, Johnson, Trinity Baptist, not the greatest. But you look at a 4-game stretch, Iona, Georgia State, Bradley, and Jacksonville, the Wildcats went 4-0, including those 2 games on the road in the middle.
Yeah. And then you add in these couple games at Stetson, and you're looking at a really good overall non-conference record. It's another steal for these Wildcats.
Dorsey to Wilson. Behind the back pass to Dorsey for the wide-open layup. That's great vision by Chanel.
That's exactly what the Wildcats are going to look to do with this press and these turnover opportunities. They don't mind this game being open. That's a traveling violation called against Trinity Baptist.
Yeah, that was Layla Harvey. And you're seeing that a lot recently. Referees really cracking down. You got to make that dribble before you move that pivot foot on catches and drives.
Yeah. I guess along with the palming violations, they definitely had a traveling violation discussion before the start of this season.
A little short on the Dorsey jumper. Damani shooting nearly 50% from the floor this season. Fast hands from Kayla White, doesn't get the steal.
And look, the hands all up in all of the Trinity Baptist players that touch this ball's face. As another steal, and the Wildcats will look to pull away here.
Nice passing again in transition. Clark off the underside of the basket, puts it back up and in.
Yeah, Dorsey's going to act like that was a pass, but she hit the underside of the rim, but obviously Kayla Clark was there to put that back in. Do her a favor.
The old Harlem Globetrotters off the underside of the rim pass.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. Nice little hesitation and drive. That's Katya Bogan.
If you were worried about that media timeout messing with the Wildcats' flow defensively, it actually has helped them a little bit as they seem to be more consistent with the steals and pressure.
Again,
as Kayla Clark
bullies Layla Harvey in the paint. And Chanel Wilson with another assist. She just puts that ball on a platter for Kayla Clark.
And Kayla Clark with her great positioning makes it easy for that, for those kind of passes.
Over the last 3 years, it's been great to watch the development of Kayla Clark as a post player with that footwork. Dorsey almost gets a steal, but the ball kicks off her foot. But she came in as a freshman and immediately was thrust into the starting role and struggled a little bit at times against some of the more dominant bigs in the SWAC. But over the last 2 years, she's grown tremendously on both ends of the floor, trying to use her height to her advantage, both offensively and defensively, as the Wildcats force another shot clock violation.
Yeah, that's just good old-fashioned defense. But to your point, pressure makes diamonds, man. Sometimes you gotta put a player in a position that they're not comfortable with at first to make them comfortable. You know, who's to say where she would be without that early, tests and stuff against stronger and tougher bigs than she might have been used to coming out of high school.
Kayla Clark, the Miami Central prospect, well known for their football team. They've got the bigger lineup in the game right now for BCU, and Clark turns provider with the nice pass to Chanel McDonald. Good work off the ball there by Kayla White, denying the passing lane, forcing Granger to drive into the corner. And a strip from the backside. Kayla White turns on the Jets, coast to coast for the layup.
And one thing that is good for the Wildcats here is that we haven't seen many of those. One thing that plagued them earlier in the season was those open looks and just missing them. And we've seen a lot more consistency on these breakaway, fast break layups as Trinity Baptist chucks up another three that won't go.
Parrish bricks the three, and the Wildcats look to run. Dunn, Euro step. Oh, around the world for the finish.
Yeah, as this first quarter has gone on, we started out and it was a little tougher, but we've pulled away kind of in this towards the end here. A lot more defensive pressure, a lot more steals, a lot more pressure in the passing lanes. You see another steal by the Wildcats.
White does it herself again. 4 straight points for Kayla. She's up to 6.
Yeah.
And the Wildcats have gone on a 10-0 run over the last 2 minutes to push the lead to 29-10.
And another 3. And the problem is Trinity Baptist is trying to keep up with the Wildcats, but the Wildcats like playing this fast and loose style of basketball. They're perfectly comfortable here.
Yeah.
So they'll let them just chuck up these threes and disrupt their passing game And that's how we've come out to with this now 12-0 run.
Yeah, 5 seconds left. But in the second quarter, watch after a missed field goal, everybody except the players that are rebounding are sprinting the other way, looking for an outlet pass and trying to push the pace of this game. 1 second left. The Wildcats will just let the clock run out.
Oh.
And that's the end of the first quarter. 31-10. Wildcats on top of Trinity Baptist. A late scoring flurry. Kayla Clark leads the way with 8 points. We'll take a quick break and be right back. This is Bethune-Cookman Women's Basketball on the CatEye Network. Wildcat fans, the Cats are close to home next week as they head to DeLand for a pair of games against Valparaiso and North Carolina A&T. Come support your Wildcats at the Edmonds Center on the campus of Stetson University Tuesday, December 19th and Wednesday, December 20th. Both games at 1 p.m. Yeah. Michael Trillo and Hanson White back in Moore Gymnasium for the final time here in 2023. The Wildcats have a 31-10 lead. And I don't have official confirmation, but I think that's the highest scoring quarter of the season for Bethune-Cookman women's basketball. Chariot Johnson, the freshman, in the game, but it's Kayla White that takes that three and rattles it down.
Now that is a pretty jump shot right there. The arc was beautiful, went straight in, off the side of the rim, and just makes a great jump shot. I'm at a loss for words, really.
Yeah, great defense by McDonald and Tucker there not to allow a layup. Johnson now guarding Smith, forces the missed shot. Watch out for Chariot Johnson. She's got the pink hair in the middle of the floor. And also Mariah Tucker left alone, and a beautiful pass by McDonald. But watch for Tucker and also Gabriella Stevens, the two true freshmen that have been getting a decent amount of work this week with the non-D1 games.
Yeah, Gabriella Stevens actually scored a couple of points last game against Johnson, and we saw the bench get excited for her, and we had the Children's Day on that day as well. So the kids were hyped for her. Everybody was real excited to watch the freshmen score some points.
Yeah, and you weren't here on Saturday, but Chariot Johnson got her first collegiate points then. And it was just the same reaction from the bench. They went nuts. And if she scores again, I'm sure they will do the same thing. McDonald loses the handle and turns the ball over. Katya Bogan.
A tough finish from her. And, if they're going to come back into this game, that's more of the stuff they have to do. They're going to have to take advantage of anything that the Wildcats are going to give them offensively and defensively.
Tucker steps into a three, a little bit short, but Johnson looked like she grabbed the rebound, but they called a reach-in foul against Chariot. They called the off-ball foul on Mariah Tucker.
Oh, I thought it was going to be a reach-in as well, but I'm assuming that the off-ball foul happened before the possible reach in there.
Yeah.
So, and if you're coach, you're definitely thinking, man, I wish that foul was on Chariot, because now Mariah Tucker has, I think, 2 fouls now.
Tucker does have 2 fouls. But it's another turnover. This Trinity Baptist team turns the ball over 23 times a game. The Wildcats force 21 turnovers. And right now, already 10 for Trinity in the turnover department. And the Wildcats started this game a bit sloppily. They only led 11-8 at one point.
You wouldn't think it now, but
yeah, with a score of 36-12. But it was because the Wildcats were turning the ball over. They have 4 turnovers, 3 of them in the first 5 minutes.
Yep. I also do want to point out that Kayla Clark was not in to start the game. Then as soon as Kayla Clark came on the court and on the floor, a scoring flurry occurred. So
they will send Chanel McDonald to the line after a flurry of activity underneath the basket.
You can't teach height, and one of the things that is great about having height, especially on the second chance opportunities and putbacks, is that if you're a short defender there, you really can't do anything to stop her from scoring other than kind of fouling her and hoping she misses these free throws.
Yeah, Wildcats already up to 6 second chance points to nothing, and have outscored Trinity 29-7 over the last 10 minutes.
And she makes the second free throw.
Wildcats show a little bit of pressure, but Trinity breaks it, and then the pass goes off of Parrish's chest and into the hands of Kerrigan Dunn. Wildcats look to run. Wilson blows by a defender, drops it off to Clark, and she is fouled.
Makes the little post-foul shot that every player seems to love to take.
Yeah, we saw Chariot Johnson put up a 3 and hit it after the foul.
Yeah. Little heat check, but now she goes to the line. Still the leading scorer, and will look to extend that lead heading into this free throw opportunity. Parrish is the leading scorer for Trinity Baptist. They only have 2 players that have scored points at all. Parrish and Bogan, the only players that have scored for them.
Talking about Chariot Johnson and her 3-point shooting. She hit 1 of 2 on Saturday. It was not her first collegiate bucket of 3, but I think it was her second. And we're looking for somebody potentially next year to follow in the footsteps of Chanel Wilson. There's a steal by Clark.
Might go to her. All right.
Fortunately, the ball dribbles back to Chariot Johnson and a travel. That's the 3rd time we've seen that traveling call. The foot moves before the ball hits the ground on that drive.
That's that. She moved her pivot foot before she dribbled. Otherwise, everything else was clean. At first, I thought maybe she stepped out of bounds by accident, but
nice stretch pass by Trinity Baptist, and Bogan scores again. Katya only averaging 8.6 a game, and she's already up to 7, excuse me.
A warning was called on the Wildcats bench.
And it's from the reaction of the assistant coach, Brittany Snowden.
Yeah.
Seems that something one of the players said. I have seen players teed up on the bench before.
Now, personally for me, that was the first time I've seen a warning called. So
yeah,
knocked that one off the little book for me. But another turnover for the into the Wildcats' paws here.
Kerrigan Dunn misses, but right there for the putback is Wilson.
That was that putback was so pretty. You might as well call it an alley-oop there.
Well, and that's one of the things you love to see as a coach, right? On the steal, it's not just one person going ahead, trying to score all by herself. You've got backup. You've got options if you need to pass, or for the putback if the first player misses it, as Trinity goes to the line.
Yep, Kayla Clark accidentally hit the Trinity Baptist player, Brown, who's at the line here, and
41-14 the score. Bethune-Cookman over Trinity Baptist in the final home game here at Moore Gymnasium. The men's team has already played their final home game. It was last week against Incarnate Word. They won that one in a thriller, and then they won again against South Carolina State earlier this week, and now they play tomorrow against a 10-1 Purdue-Fort Wayne team, so a big test for Reggie Theus and his boys.
Yep. Look for a lot of defensive pressure out of the men's team against that Purdue-Fort Wayne team. Both men's and women's basketball teams have a lot of defensive acumen in them. They love steals. They love heavy presses. They love that man-to-man switch on every defender kind of thing.
McDonald given some space to drive, and she'll go to the line after the hip check, and Chanel McDonald crashes into the ground.
Yeah, the last thing you want to hear as a fan of any basketball player is a hard fall onto the court. That's why I went quiet there for a second. But she seems all right, but you never want to hear that, even if, as a fan, as the sport in general.
Yeah, and the men's team in particular the last couple of years have been hit hard by injuries, and especially to bigs, and have forced them to play some small lineups when they really didn't want to. And this year, everybody healthy on both teams for now.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood, yes.
But I think, yes, Bogan was subbed out, so their tied leading scorer is out. It's only Parrish in there, who I think it was played almost every minute she can in this game.
Have not seen Tuesday. She started. She's only played 8 minutes, picked up a foul, and has not played again. Parrish from the wing missed everything. And then Haynes cannot save it.
Yeah, tries to get the board, tries to keep the ball in play, throw it off for somebody, but just can't make that play happen. Parrish has the license to shoot from her coaches. She's 3 for 8 right now, 0 for 4 from 3. But that seems to not mess with her confidence. And speaking of not mess with your confidence, Dunn makes a beautiful mid-range shot there.
That is a bread and butter shot. Parrish wide open. Just leaves it a bit short. Trinity gets the offensive rebound and the foul. They're going to call a trip against Kayla Clark. Picks up her second. But yeah, that short corner jumper is something that the Wildcats really love to go to on offense. They're not a big three-point shooting team like they were last year. I mean, Mariah Tucker can knock them down. Chanel Wilson does Chanel Wilson things, right? As Chariot Johnson gets the steal, but not before a whistle.
I think was that a tech on the bench?
Or another warning.
I think one of the problems is more gymnasiums usually much louder than this. A lot of students are home, and so
you're right. It is a technical foul.
Yeah.
I'll wait for it to come across the live stats to see it was on. It was not announced over the PA.
No.
But I'm assuming it is on the Wildcat bench for the same thing as the warning.
So some of the stuff you might have been able to say in the past couple of games because of the crowd noise and stuff you could get away with. The refs are walking right by you. They're going to hear that, especially when they're standing right next to your bench. So the Wildcats are definitely going to have to keep their mouths shut and mouths zipped if they don't want to get into more trouble, possible ejections and stuff and suspensions. You don't want to deal with that.
And that also specifically was a double whammy because they had just gotten the steal.
Yeah.
Wilson. Fadeaway doesn't hit it. McDonald will go back to the line after another offensive rebound, up to 8 for the Wildcats in the first half.
And Chariot Johnson has to feel hard done because both times she has opportunities to score, a foul is called both times. I mean, that has to annoy you at some point. Because especially on that second one.
The second one, she nothing she could do about it. The player that committed the foul was not on the floor.
A fast break opportunity, you just get a tech randomly. I mean, I'd have to have a conversation with him after the game, like, hey, man, we got to.
It was not given in the live stats as to who that technical foul was on. They may have just called it on the bench.
Yeah, I think it was a holistic bench foul. So
I'll go down at halftime and confirm that with the official score. Steve is doing the scorebook for us today. Someone I work with a lot over at the Ocean Center. Wildcats will go into their full court press, and this is where they can pick teams apart. Johnson almost rips that ball away on the inbounds pass, but Wilson snatches the first pass, and then Dunn lays it in.
Yeah, this is exactly what you want to see out of this press. I mean, already one possession turnover there, and now you're going to look for a possible another one. Chariot Johnson's getting a lot of playing time in this second quarter, which is something you'd love to see.
Yeah, and in a game like this, it's already 49-17 with 5 minutes to go in the first half. I wouldn't be surprised if Stevens plays significant minutes and Johnson plays significant minutes. I was expecting them to, honestly, against Johnson University on Tuesday, but neither of them really played as many minutes as I thought they were going to. That's an air ball.
They hit the front of the rim, but nothing else really. And Cherry Johnson
catch and shoot.
Off the
Bank
side of the
go.
backboard.
Yeah. And I'm sure Chariot has a license to shoot in this kind of game. Parrish in the corner. This time doesn't take the three. Nice defensive
Speaking
job
of
by
license to
McDonald.
shoot.
Well, yeah. And it's another miss, though. She's now 0 for 7 from beyond the arc. As we hit the second media timeout. Nike is the official outfitter of the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Gear up on the newest BCU Nike gear at nike.com/Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. And make sure you are representing Bethune-Cookman University Athletics to the fullest. Buy the latest BCU gear online at the Bethune-Cookman online store. Go to bcuathletics.com and click on shop to find the newest BCU clothing and apparel. That's bcuathletics.com and click on shop. Enson's got a snazzy BCU jacket on.
I mean, hey, you got to rep the brand. But, I mean, our merch does a really good job representing the university. I mean, one thing I do wish, and I hope we do start doing is selling like baseball jerseys. And some more varieties of baseball hats and stuff. But hey, you can't win them all.
Wildcats up 49-17, 4:24 to go in the first half. Quick little stats check. Chanel McDonald already has 11 points, Kayla Clark 10, and that's pretty much all you need to know about how things have gone offensively for the Wildcats. Their two front court players have the most points.
Yeah, we talked about that height difference when the game started, and it's been a major part of what's been happening throughout this game. You just can't, it's hard to defend tall players without tall players. And especially when you're getting a lot of fast break opportunities like we have been. Your shorter players can't even get set to really draw charges and stuff of that nature. It just makes it very, very hard defensively. And we've been great from the line, 9 of 10. And, I mean, 40% from three is decent, but only on 2 for 5 shooting from there. Almost 60% from the field. But Trinity Baptist just hasn't had the shot. And more specifically, Parrish, who's taken most of their shots and almost all of their shots from beyond the arc, with currently 0 for 7. But,
yeah.
I mean, at a certain point, it's like, okay, we're going to have to start trying some other stuff.
Front of the rim, too short. You can tell the Wildcats really want to finish the job. They've got their two bigs in the game. Step back triple from the corner for Kerrigan Dunn.
A tough three by Kerrigan Dunn. A step back, gets that little bit of space she needs, and just drains it there.
And again, this is a team with not a lot of seniors. Omariah Tucker and Chanel Wilson, the only players at the end of their availability this season. Most of this roster could potentially come back next year.
Yep. And shout out all the fall graduates.
Nice board by Kayla Clark, and she'll get the foul as well.
Yeah. That's just a tough rebound, A lot of players won't. You'll see some players kind of shy away from being in those tough situations, two people pulling on them. But, I mean, Kayla Clark doesn't care about that. She gets the board anyway and gets the possession all the way down to the other side of the court for Wildcats there.
Wildcats
actually gets a foul, rather.
Yeah, and it's in the bonus, yeah. Both teams in the bonus for the last 3:29 here of this first half. Wildcats shooting 60% from the floor.
Yeah. Ironically, the bonus for the Eagles has not made much of a difference since they were put in it. I mean, they've only shot 7 times from the free throw line. They're 5 from 7 from there. But they played, being in the bonus, have played perfectly.
Unfortunately, 2 missed free throws, but an offensive board by Damani Dorsey. Wilson, hesitation, short corner jumper, splashes it down.
I mean, you still got the 2 points, and technically it's just kind of like you got a rebound. So
that is a three-pointer from NBA range from Parrish. Misses air. Parrish around Dorsey. Nice switch by McDonald to force the miss. Wildcats still looking to run in transition. Floated up for McDonald. Her long arms gets the pass behind her head.
By the entirety of the Trinity Baptist team there in the paint, and still gets the foul. Almost gets the ball up in there.
Yeah, McDonald listed at 6'2". Obviously, with the long arms, the wingspan is more than that. And when you have players like that, and Kayla Clark is just being subbed out. Now, in the front court, a lot of times as a shorter player, you're going, well, they're down there somewhere, and just kind of throw the ball up to them.
Yep. And sometimes you get in these kind of situations where they just kind of put the ball up. Refs are going to call that as a shooting foul, and you get a free trip to the line, even though they really weren't trying to shoot it. They were just trying to get the ball under control. As Gabriella Stevens looks about to come into the game as well.
Chanel McDonald is actually the best free throw shooter on this team. Not something you often see from a front court player. Shooting 88%.
But that's exactly what you want as a coach, to have your player that's going to be in the most situations get fouled, to be able to be proficient from the line. That's exactly what you want, as a shooting foul is called for the Eagles.
Kerrigan Dunn picks up the foul. Both teams in the bonus, so Trinity will go to the line. This is Layla Harvey, originally from Thomasville, Georgia.
South Georgia, as a North Florida native. I mean, Thomasville, I can talk about Decatur, Valdosta, all that area, but it's always funny to see people from cities that you're from or know about that are real small. It's just a funny experience.
Yeah. Well, it's like every time I see Daytona Beach, a player from here goes somewhere else, and I call their games. It's like, I know where that is.
I bet you don't. It's like, they're from Lakeland? What?
58-18, 2:38 to go first half. Nia Jordan in the game for the first time with the white headband. She gets the ball down low. One dribble, skips through the lane, and scores.
In the game for the first time, gets her first points of the game real quick.
Correction, that's Kamara Langston, not Nia Jordan. My apologies.
Tough
Gabriella Stevens also in the game.
Traveling. At first, I thought it was going to be called a shooting foul because she didn't really set her feet. But I was going to say she didn't really make contact either. But traveling called. Gabriella Stevens' first possession, defensive possession there.
Yeah, that was
works really well.
That was Makia Toller on the travel. Wildcats 60 points in the first half.
Corner
and
three.
Another three from Kerrigan Dunn. This one too strong. Parrish grabs the miss. They scored 92 against Johnson on Tuesday. Have not broken triple digits yet this year. Could we be on for that?
I mean, the reason we didn't hit it in our last two games was because we kind of took the foot off the gas in the second half of both of them. So if the cycle continues, probably we might not. But it's completely possible, especially if Trinity Baptist continues to play fast and loose as they have been.
Well, that's what happened in the Warner game. The Wildcats were up 51-15 at the half. That's not a backcourt violation because it was touched by a Trinity Baptist player. 5-on-4 for the Wildcats. It's a triple from the outside, too strong. Stevens tries to poke away the rebound, but here's the speedy Brown. But unfortunately, twists herself up in knots on the baseline and coughs the ball up.
Yeah, Kayla White tries to get a layoff pass there, just doesn't get it to go to where she wants it to end up at. So she has a good offensive possession and then has to immediately rotate back to playing defense. Does a good job forcing her to almost turn the ball over. And then
hold against Gabriella Stevens. That was pretty blatant. Had her arm across her shoulders, and will send Toller to the line. Toller at Pensacola, Florida native. We're talking about North Florida.
Pensacola, I mean, a little ways away from Apalachicola, St. George Island, all those places. I mean, I feel like an old man saying city.
Well, Pensacola, right, the home of the West Florida Argonauts.
Yeah.
One of the better Division II teams in the country. A football program, former national champions a couple years ago. Baseball program really good. Volleyball program really good. Watch out for those Argos.
Watch out. And if you're from North Florida and ever wanted to go to the beach, you probably went to St. George's Island because that was kind of the closest beach place compared to driving all the way to Jacksonville or into the Gulf of Mexico, really. As
Wildcats shooting
possession.
59% from the floor and 35% from three. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And another offensive rebound there, and it's just been the consistent issue that Trinity Baptist cannot. There's no defensive really scheming that you can do to fix not having height.
It seems too easy, even for Kamara Langston, who's listed at I say only in scare quotes, 5'11".
Yeah.
She's still taller than everybody else on Trinity Baptist
Taller
team.
than both of us in the booth as well.
Yeah.
So, but it just makes it hard because the best choice is to box them out, really. But if their wingspan's that much longer than yours, it really doesn't matter if they can just reach over you, as that's a tough shot. Ah,
Stevens doesn't get it to fall.
in and out for the freshman.
Another player listed at 5'11", and I just saw her run back past Langston there. And Langston looks like she has a couple of inches on Stevens.
I don't think Langston's 5'11", or one of these people is not 5'11", rather.
Free throw line jumper for DeMond.
Oh, and Kayla White just takes the ball out.
Picks the pocket of Ranajala Brown.
Yeah, plays the inbound pass like she was on Trinity Baptist, puts it back in, and kind of makes this lead a little bit bigger for the Wildcats.
8 seconds. Parrish in the middle, turns it over. Correction, that's Caroline Smith. And Gabriella Stevens doesn't hit the running jumper at the end of the shot clock, but it's still a 66-19 lead at the end of the first half. Wildcats all over Trinity Baptist. Thoughts on the first half, Vincent?
I mean, it's what we expected. No, Trinity Baptist doesn't have a lot of height. The Wildcats took advantage of that. Trinity Baptist hasn't really played a defense as good as the Wildcats. That press and how they reacted to it showed that. Outside of the beginning of the first quarter where the Wildcats looked a little shaky, but that was without their best player, Kayla Clark, being on the floor. And, they did a couple rotations, and after that it was been really smooth sailing for much of the game. I mean, at first I was thinking maybe we're going to have an extremely close game, or at least a closer game than the last couple. But, I mean, it's not as if Trinity Baptist isn't getting looks. They have been. It's just the manner, and it's just you're not making them. And that has just boded unwell for the Eagles as they attempt to soar but have not been able to take off.
Yeah, well, and even against these non-D1 schools, I'm going to give you a couple of stats here. Against Johnson, we scored 58 points in the first half. We led that 58-3. Against Warner, at the end of the third quarter, we led 68-36. We have 66 points in the first half.
Yep. And that's because Trinity Baptist has played a much faster brand of basketball. They've shot the ball 26 times, plus the 21 turnovers. And reminder, they haven't gotten a lot of offensive boards. They only have 5. So it's not as if they're recycling possession a lot. So all of these shots and turnovers equal to about 47 overall possessions that they've had. And that means the Wildcats have also had a similar amount. So it just allows them to score more points. And if they keep playing as they are, and they likely will, they haven't seemed to have shifted really throughout the game, we're going to maybe see triple digits this game.
We'll take a break and be back for the second half. Once again, your score, the Wildcats 66 and Trinity Baptist Eagles 19. This is Bethune-Cookman Women's Basketball on the CatEye Network. Second half on tap from Moore Gymnasium. The Wildcats hold a 66-19 lead over the Trinity Baptist Eagles. Let's run through your scoring totals from the first half real quick. Trinity Baptist, Parrish has 8 on 3 of 13 shooting. She's also 0 for 8 from beyond the arc. Bogan has 7, Brown 2, Harvey and Toller has 1. That's their 19. McDonald and Clark are the top scorers for Bethune-Cookman. McDonald has 15, Clark has 10, Dunn has 9, White has 9, Dorsey 8, Wilson 7, Langston 4, Edwards 2, and Tucker 2. Stevens and Johnson, the 2 freshmen, played but did not score. It is very likely, Henson, we could end up with 6 players in double figures if they spread their scoring out.
I mean, they have been spreading the scoring out. They've been spreading the minutes out, so I would not be surprised if that was the end result here in terms of the overall scoring output. And they might have, the Trinity Baptist team might have had a discussion on this first offensive possession that maybe, hey, Parrish, we're going to have to, pass the ball around a little bit more.
Well, the first offensive possession ends up in a deflected pass and a steal by Chanel Wilson. She leaves her layup short. It's an offensive rebound and a putback for Kerrigan Dunn.
I mean, hey, if you're going to miss, hopefully you got to hope that the miss lands in your teammates' hands.
And that's double digits for Dunn. She's up to 11. Check that. Yeah, no, correction, it was Dunn. Live stats are a little bit behind. Last time the Wildcats broke 100, you got to go all the way back to 2017. On the women's side, nice extra pass to find McDonald. Dunn gets the score on the first possession and then the assist on the second possession. Wildcats up to 15 assists already. They average only 14 a game.
I mean, with all this defensive pressure that they're causing and how Trinity Baptist has been playing, even to start out this third quarter, I would not be surprised if we do hit 100 here as Parrish makes a tough layup there. And maybe that's what she needs to do instead of try to shoot as many threes, just to make, get her percentage up, get her confidence back.
Drive the lane, try and get the defenders on their heels. But the problem with doing that is you've got McDonald and Clark in the paint staring you down as you head towards them.
Yep, and then you're out. A lot of their outlet passes have been getting smacked out of the air and knocked out as
Tucker throws the ball to the referee.
Yeah.
And she is not on your team.
No, she was just, maybe she wanted to reset the possession or something, but a little bit too much mustard on that pass. Ends up in the referee's hands.
70-21 early on in the third quarter. I mentioned the Wildcats last time the Lady Wildcats broke 100 was all the way back in 2017. Opening day against Edward Waters. Thanks to Dan Ryan for that stat, as he is here again today.
Shout out Miami. But Edward Waters, we have Bethune-Cookman obviously here in Daytona Beach. You have Florida A&M up in Tallahassee as, your 3 main HBCUs. And then you have Florida Memorial Miami, rather. Oh,
Flomo.
Edward Waters is in Jacksonville, not Miami, before I get beat up after we.
Well, both of them have orange in their colors.
Yeah. Got it. The colors got it confused in my mind. I was like, wait a minute. What is it? Something in my brain was like, something is wrong, I just said.
Another nice post move for Chanel McDonald, and she's kind of taking the scoring mantle today, already up to 17 points.
Yeah, take advantage of being the tallest player on the court. And you get it. A nice move, but just can't finish that.
That was Harvey.
Nice up and under. Got the defender in the air, just couldn't make it.
Wilson thought about stepping into a 3. Nice closeout by Parrish. And we talked a fair bit at the top of this broadcast about Madeline Tuesday, the top scorer and top rebounder of this team. But Tuesday has not played more than 15 minutes and has no points tonight.
It might be possible that she, maybe has an injury or something, and, you obviously don't want that. But otherwise, it doesn't really make sense to not play your best player.
Well, she just missed a layup.
There she is, though.
Wilson in traffic. Tucker gets the board and puts it back.
She's played 15 minutes. I think it's just more so due to the Wildcats' height is that it's just taking it. You can't really, when you're the biggest player on a small team, it kind of messes up your normal, how you normally do things when everybody else is your height, especially likely smaller people in your conference.
Yeah, and again, they're probably used to playing teams that are evenly matched height-wise with them. I mean, they're in the same division as Johnson was. They play Florida State College of Jacksonville, Florida National, Bob Jones, Toccoa Falls, Pensacola Christian, Georgia Wesleyan, and New College of Florida in their division. Yeah. Defender falls down, open look for Parrish, and an offensive foul over the back against Trinity on the rebound.
Once again, good looks that the Eagles are getting. They're just not consistently knocking them down. 7 for 29. And a 0 for 14 from 3.
They have not been shy about taking the three, especially Emma Parrish, the FPC graduate, 0 for 8 from beyond the arc.
I mean, you have to respect the fact that she hasn't given up on them, but at a certain point, it's kind of like, okay, we're gonna. I guess you're playing the odds game now. It's like there's no way I'm missing another one. As the Wildcats have to work this possession around.
Wilson to the baseline, tapped out of bounds by Parrish. Nice defensive position to take away the baseline drive. And Parrish transferred in from Weber International. Only played 10 games and averaged 4.3 minutes as a freshman.
Yeah. But she's found a home here in this Trinity Baptist team. Team captain, averaged 13.5 points her sophomore season. So.
Wildcats looking to improve to 7-3. Tucker, short corner jumper. Again, they just knock him down.
I mean, hey, if you're trying to, at this point, they're probably just shooting for 100. So it's like, hey, we're going to have to shoot fast, score quick.
Parrish finally hits one. It's the first three of the night for Trinity Baptist, and Parrish, after missing 8 straight, finally connects from deep.
Statistically, she was bound to hit one. So
yeah, she's shooting 25% from 3, 17 for 67 before tonight.
Yeah, but Kayla Clark immediately gets some points back for the Wildcats. But that's got to be great for Parrish's confidence, at least from a personal level kind of thing.
No real double-double watch tonight for the Wildcats, even though they have 3 players in double figures. Only 5 rebounds is the most anybody has. That's Kayla Clark. Dunn and McDonald both have 4.
A rough fall from Caroline Smith. At first, I was worried about her knee, but it just seemed like she overstepped a little bit and slid down.
Yeah. I was doing some high school basketball yesterday over at DME. There's a big tournament. A couple of the best collegiate pre-college academies in the country are there this weekend. And we saw us play very similar to that, where one of the players just kind of overran, turned her ankle, and then was back the very next play. It's going to go against Kayla Clark for a push-off. Clark picks up her 3rd foul. Edwards also has 3 fouls for Bethune-Cookman. Bogan and Broadway have 3 each for the Eagles. And
Bogan's their second leading scorer there with 7.
And not often do I say this, but there is a player on the floor that is shorter than me. And she just checked in. That is number 1 for Trinity Baptist, Malia Granger. Listed at 5 foot even.
5 foot flat.
Granger from Fort White, out in the countryside. Played at Countryside Christian.
Long 3.
Good.
From Wilson.
Chanel Wilson up to 10 points, and the Wildcats have 4 players in double figures, and they're at 81. And a block
from Kayla Clark. Tucker
in the front court with speed.
And wall.
Almost the and one. We've decided to start reading each other's minds.
We're in sync all of a sudden, much like the Wildcats' offense and defense has been for much of this game, as I think we're into a media timeout.
First media timeout of the second half. Stay up to date with everything Bethune-Cookman Athletics by checking out the Wildcats on social media. Give BCU Athletics a like on Facebook and follow the Wildcats on Twitter and Instagram at BCU_athletics. For the latest on BCU women's basketball, follow at BCU WBB on Twitter and Instagram. And I know it's only December, but I'm always thinking about the Diamond. Baseball and softball, we have the schedules, and it's only 3 months away before we finally get baseball back here at VCU.
Yeah, but as someone who grew up watching, I mean, I was a Pirates fan. I was a McCutcheon fan when I was little. But as I grew older, I became more of a Rays fan, been a Rays guy. And as soon as I got here, I was like, I wonder how our baseball team is doing. And since I've been here, they've been doing pretty well.
Runners up last year.
Yep, and looking at this new this schedule that we got, no away out of state away non-conference trips this year. So if you're at a mid-major baseball team in Florida, you might see the Wildcats somewhere.
Or if you're any baseball team in the state of Florida, you're probably seeing the Wildcats this year. The main out-of-conference trip early on in the season is a 3-game set at Florida Gulf Coast. Yeah. That should be a good one right at the beginning of the season. And then the premier team coming in here, 3-game set at Jackie Robinson Ballpark. First weekend of March, the Northwestern Wildcats from Chicago.
Yep. Evanston, Illinois. Out of the Big Ten, Northwestern University is going to come down here to play our Wildcats. Once again, 3-game series. That's a big deal. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in that first weekend in March. We play FIU following that in Miami. Then we play Maine, who's also coming in here. So 2 cold teams coming down. Escaping the cold, coming down to Daytona. And then we play Jacksonville. And then we start heading into our conference play as play gets started back here with Trinity Baptist.
Yeah, and then, of course, non-conference games against the usual Jacksonville, North Florida, South Florida, Florida State, UF, Miami. We hit all those teams pretty much yearly.
Yeah, tough bucket there by Parrish. The sky hook. And since she's gone to the paint more, she seems to have picked back up her scoring acumen.
Tough catch for McDonald as she goes over Brown. Tucker tries to get the tough finish in traffic, gets her own rebound, and will go to the line.
Yeah. One interesting thing, and I'd like your opinion on this, is, when you're down by a good chunk, you start thinking as a coach or even as a player, let's win this quarter. Let's win this, segment so we have something positive to look back on. Or what do you think about that?
I think coaches will use it as a motivational tool, right? Like, you kind of win every possession, right? That's the mindset you have to have. Don't look at the scoreboard, right? Don't think, oh, I'm down a bunch of points, we're just going to give up. And try to win your individual battles every time down the floor. Parrish is doing a decent job of that. She fires another 3 that's just off the mark, but she did a nice step back to get ahead of Kerrigan Dunn, and she's going to get the steal.
Jumps the lane there.
And gets the easy bucket.
Easy layup.
Parrish averaging 10.7 points, up to 17 for Trinity Baptist. And whistle and a stoppage of play.
Everyone's a tad bit confused with the shot clock.
We're going to get Kamara Langston into the game. Yes, it was a shot clock issue. Shot clock did not reset.
The way that every player on the court kind of just stared into space confused me a little bit as well.
Why have we stopped? And that's why. Kayla White, hounded by Granger. McDonald, baseline jumper, finds Twine.
Tough shot. We've been seeing that all game from the Wildcats as they're closing in on that triple-digit games here tonight.
Parrish double-teamed. This is Caroline Smith driving baseline and leaving the shot short.
Yeah. Falls hard.
Brown.
Falls hard, no contact though. So, that's the perfect defense. If you're defending somebody and they end up on the ground and you didn't even touch them, that's perfectly played defense.
White fakes the pass, tries to shovel it to Langston underneath. She has to go back and collect it after it pinballed off an Eagle. With the shot clock running down, Dunn takes a 3 and misses it. Parrish almost lets that ball go behind her, but it's a backcourt violation. She stepped into the front court with 1 foot and then dribbled the ball in the backcourt with the other.
Yeah. Almost looked like she was doing a little Harlem Globetrotters action, kind of catches the ball behind her and then tries to do a little behind the back there, but I mean, it's very hard, especially when you're crossing half court like that. It is hard to know exactly where you're at, and she can't put the ball in front of her, so she was in a really bad position overall for her. That's
McDonald, another catch and shoot from about 10 feet, and she buries those every time.
And that's not unlucky. That's consistency right there from the Wildcats. We've just been dominating that little low post shot that we've been making all game.
McDonald 7 for 8 from the field. Parrish, a triple rattles out. Offensive board for Smith. A third opportunity for Brown, and she'll go to the free throw line. But I want to talk about Chanel McDonald having a career night. 23 points coming towards the end of the third quarter. She's only missed 1 field goal. She's only missed 1 free throw, and she's got 5 rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, that's about as good as you can play it. Only 2 turnovers as well. Most on the team, but still, I mean, tied for most on the team with Chariot Johnson. But still, that's a very impressive stat tally. And the game isn't even over yet, so we could be looking at it, into the 30s possibly as consistently as she's been scoring this game.
Former All-Sun Conference Freshman of the Year when she played at Warner a season ago. Former true sport athlete at Lake Wales High School. Also played volleyball, not surprising. There's a lot of crossover between basketball and volleyball. Offensive foul, illegal screen called on Kerrigan Dunn.
Ref called that one enthusiastically, swiveling his hips on the illegal screen, but you know, that's just one of those things that'll happen, especially when you're trying to play fast, get those screens set. You don't set both of your feet, they're gonna call that.
Yeah. Talk about the crossover between volleyball and basketball, right? There's a lot of similar skills. The ability to jump, obviously, but the ability to track a ball mid-flight and on-court coordination is very important, knowing where your teammates are. So a lot of transferable skills. And you see that with the volleyball team. A lot of them played basketball in high school.
Yeah, and a lot of height. Height will always be a benefit. Chariot Johnson,
doesn't take the layup, kicks it out for the 3, which is a little bit wide. And then they got to get the elbow underneath on Kerrigan Dunn. So she picks up another foul.
A lot of fouls on these last couple possessions for the Wildcats.
And that'll send Trinity Baptist to the line. There's been a lot of fouls called tonight. 13 on the Wildcats, 12 on the Eagles.
Yeah. Overall, it hasn't really affected the game much in terms of how close and far away it's been. But just, that's one thing you might want to shore up heading into conference play is, hey, we can't keep fouling at this high of a rate. We can't be in a situation where you have a team that's going to play us way closer at this. It could be a complete different ball game if you're fouling people and they're in the bonus and it's only a 2-point lead or a 3-point lead.
Yeah, and I was talking to Bryce, our SID, and he said that he talked to Coach Creighton and he mentioned, don't schedule these 3 non-D1 games back-to-back. It kind of takes your foot off the gas a little bit as a team. Chariot Johnson with a triple.
A nice 3 from Chariot Johnson. The bench, a small round of applause for their teammate.
Under 40 to go in the first half. A blocking foul called against Johnson underneath.
Doesn't set her feet there.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, and obviously I hope this doesn't happen if the Wildcats against Valparaiso next Wednesday come out a little bit flat because they've been used to just kind of getting their own way against these non-D1 schools for a week straight.
The hope is, as we see with a lot of, even in football, you have, all these D1 programs, your Florida States, your Alabamas, your LSUs that'll play, D2 opposition and stuff to start out the season, and then they come into that week 2 game against, better opposition or conference play, and they look a little, worse for wear. And your hope is that rather than that, you end up in a situation where it's like you get the experience that you need. You get your freshmen and guys up to game speed and the players that you need to get warm and rest and all that positive stuff without many of the drawbacks. It's Chariot Johnson.
Look at the freshman with the box out and the putback. And I think this week has been super important for one player, and that is Kayla Clark. Obviously coming off an injury, had only played 2 games before this week. There's a little bit of a wrestling match happening off the ball. They're going to charge Dorsey with the foul.
She proclaims how as she gets up, but I mean, it's one of those where I kind of just saw bodies falling, but they're going to have to call a foul on somebody in that situation. They can't kind of just let you fall and be like, well, as we are almost closing out this third quarter, 91-32.
To finish my point, Clark didn't really look herself in the 2 games that she came back from injury, and then, of course, scoring 17 against Warner, 18 against Johnson. She's got 12 tonight, and I don't think she'll see the floor again, but she played, in the grand scheme of things, 15 minutes and scored 12 points. 3 seconds. Dorsey takes the jumper off the front iron. Put back by McDonald. No, she did not get it away in time.
Too late.
And we end the third quarter of play. The Wildcats with their lowest scoring quarter of the game. They still scored 25, and they lead at 91-32 as we head to the fourth. This is BCU Basketball on the CatEye Network. Wildcat Basketball is here, and season tickets are on sale now at the BCU box office for just $225 on the lower level and $125 on the upper level. Wildcat Basketball wants to see you this season at Moore Gymnasium. We got a 3-game homestand to start conference play coming up. On the 6th, Florida A&M. On the 13th, Grambling State. And then Southern on the 15th. And, of course, all of those dates are double headers, so you get 2 for the price of 1.
Yep, and those games are going to be rocking. Let me tell you what, we're going to have probably going to have the band in here. You're going to have a packed out student section. It's going to be loud here in Moore Gymnasium, and you will not want to miss that.
I mentioned that Kayla Clark I thought might be done for the day. She's back in to start the fourth quarter.
Yeah, maybe
they heard me. Into the post for Parrish, and she gets the ball stripped by Johnson and then fouls her as Johnson tried to sprint the other way. Yeah, they're actually going to get the foul against Victoria Broadway. She's quietly picked up 4 fouls.
Yeah.
And she'll probably be done. Broadway from Groveland, Florida, former South Lake Eagle.
From Eagles to Eagles, I mean.
I don't even think their logos are very similar.
You watch college sports for long enough, you'll see the template logos at a certain point.
Yep. And another triple, Damani Dorsey.
And Layla Harvey kind of just reacted like, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do there, with that tough 3 went in.
Wildcats chasing triple digits for the first time since 2017, although Katia Bogan is going to get to the line as Chanel Wilson picks up her second foul. Chanel McDonald, 23 points on 7 of 8 shooting in just 20 minutes. She has more points than minutes.
She has optimized the time she's been on the court tonight and has made the most of it, leading the team in scoring, on efficient shooting with rebounds. Hasn't turned the ball over much. I mean, literally not much else you can ask for her to do. Ironically, no blocks. That's probably the biggest surprise that you'll see out of her stat sheet. Chariot Wilson has one, however.
Yeah. McDonald and Tucker are tied for the team lead in blocks. Neither of them on the floor right now. Pick and pop, and a putback is good for Kayla Clark. Clark up to 14. Remember, she had 17 and 18 in the first 2 games this week, and she'd love to eclipse 20.
That might be why she's in the game to eclipse 20 or get closer to her scoring marks in the last couple of games. Because otherwise, other than maybe just to keep her energy up going into this Stetson trip, really isn't a reason to really have her out here.
Well, and I think if you're Coach Creighton, right, you want to continue to go into your normal rotation as much as possible, keep everything the same so the players know when they're going to go in, know when they're going to sit. And just going into the next game, everything is as simple as possible. And
yep.
I remember, being a player. I didn't play basketball, but being a player in any sport, you want your coaching staff to make it as easy for you as possible.
Yeah, the player. People love consistency, regardless of its sports or if it's work or whatever. Changes to your schedule can mess you up and make you overthink. So obviously, that is one thing that definitely could help the players out. If it's, hey, you're going to come in at this time, we're going to do this regularly unless something happens, that's what you should expect.
And by making it as easy as possible, I do want to add a caveat. Not the actual work you're putting in, but as in consistency and scheduling and making sure, handling all the outside the game things.
Yeah, just focus on when you're in there and playing. As
Clark goes out, Gabriella Stevens comes back in as Clark drains the and one to get up to 15. Stevens, the only Wildcat to appear in the game that has not scored, so we'll see if they get her on the score sheet in this final frame. Men's team in action tomorrow. They take on Purdue Fort Wayne up in Indiana.
That'll be a tough game, 10-1 Purdue Fort Wayne team.
And then they go to Chicago State, and then they finish out the calendar year at Mississippi State. So a tough end of the season, or that's a double dribble. A tough end of the calendar year, I should say, for the men's basketball team. Of course, Chicago State just knocked off Northwestern earlier this week. A big win for the Cougars, who are joining the NEC starting next year. Finally not an FBS independent for the first time.
Yeah, that's great for their program. And Layla Harvey did the double dribble and just immediately was, you could see it on her face. And you could almost go like, dang, maybe you should hide it a little bit more so the refs don't immediately know. But Deshante Edwards.
Wow, flying to the basket. She only had 2 points on 1 of 3 shooting before that. And she is one of the better players on this team when she gets that head of steam going downhill.
Yeah.
But Edwards, of course, known for her defense. Led this team and the entire SWAC in steals last year.
And she gets one right there.
And then finds the assist to Dorsey.
And that makes it 101 for the Wildcats.
For the first time since 2017, the Lady Wildcats have hit triple digits. We are not close to troubling the all-time record. That is, as Edwards gets another steal, that is 131. And Edwards will just take time off the clock. And I think every possession for the Wildcats now is going to be 25-plus seconds.
Yeah, they hit that 100 mark and now are taking the time off the clock.
Stevens gets the big pop from the bench. And a media timeout. Wildcats 103, Eagles 34. Come be a part of BCU Athletics and support the CatEye Network. If you or your business is interested in partnering with us here on the CatEye Network, you can reach out to the Wildcats Athletic Communications Department at bcusportsinfo@cookman.edu. That's bcusportsinfo@cookman.edu. Your business could be on air with the Wildcats. And there is no BC without you. Show your support for Bethune-Cookman Athletics by joining the Wildcat Champions Club today. Help us build a championship culture at Bethune-Cookman. You can donate and join at cookman.scalefunder.com. That's cookman.scalefunder.com. We've talked about baseball, and it would be amiss if we don't give softball a mention as well. Coach Watton, as usual, has her team playing the best of the best in the country in the non-conference. Paradise Classic in South Florida, Illinois State, USF, Oregon State, Michigan, and UF. Tough test there. Hatter Classic against Stetson, Colgate, and Creighton. As always, they're going out to California to play in the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic. They'll play BYU, Oregon State again, San Diego State, Loyola Marymount, and Cal State Northridge. Then they're home at the Knights Classic, not at home, but back in the home state at UCF to play South Carolina, Kennesaw State, Princeton, and the host Knights. And then they have a non-conference home game for the first time in a couple of years as the Fighting Hawks of North Dakota will come to Sunnyland Park. Make sure you are there on the 6th of March.
Yep. And from the beautiful mountains of North Dakota, they'll travel down to Daytona Beach and play our Wildcats.
And I'm sure they will be just as happy as anybody to come on down to Florida in March instead of being in North Dakota.
They'll miss the elevation of North Dakota when they'll hit the ball, though. That'll be for sure.
Both diamond sports for the Wildcats going to be very good again. Neither team has missed a SWAC tournament since coming over from the MEAC in 2021. Tough attempt by Malia Granger. Granger, the shortest player on either team, 5 foot even, but is a 6-year high school varsity player at Countryside Christian and averaged 16 points a game late in her career. So she can ball.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being in high school and remember like playing against kids who would go to academy schools and they were in like 7th, 8th grade, and you're like, how did you even get in here? And then they're pretty good. So
Parrish tries a 3, leaves it short. Offensive rebound, but Stevens rips it away, forces the jump ball. The possession arrow is with Trinity, and Granger also played softball and volleyball. A multiple sport athlete as well.
Once again from Fort White, Florida.
Steal off the inbounds pass, Kayla White. And then they're going to get Granger for a hand check. Wanajala Brown is from Williston and Fort White, really close to each other, so they competed against each other in high school and now teammates at Trinity Baptist.
It's always got to be interesting to compete against somebody in high school, play against them play with them rather in college.
Or the other way, you're high school teammates, you both make college programs in the same part of the country, and then now all of a sudden you're rivals. That happens so often, especially with football here in the local area, right? You got kids from mainland that go to Florida and UCF and Florida State, and they'll play each other, and they're on opposite sides of the ball. Yeah. Congratulations, by the way, to mainland football, winning the state championship for the first time since 2003. And former Wildcat at the helm.
Yeah. Joining their girls basketball team, winning a state championship last year. So mainland School of Champions going into 2024.
That's tough to say as a Seabreeze grad, but you got to give Daytona Beach some love.
Yeah.
Tucker, triple team, long pass to White. She'll drive baseline, shovel it to Stevens, and she gets it to go.
And now I can assuredly say that everybody who's played this game for the Wildcats have scored. And everybody on Trinity Baptist went up court and kind of just, for a second, left Granger by herself with the ball.
Granger against Dorsey. Parrish from the wing. Nope, she's only hit one of those in this game.
She has not stopped shooting them, though. She is currently 1 for 12, 7 of 21 from the field as a whole.
But she's got 19 points.
Yes.
As we hit the final media timeout of the game. Stay up to date with everything Bethune-Cookman Athletics by checking out the Wildcats on social media. Give BCU Athletics a like on Facebook and follow the Wildcats on Twitter and Instagram at BCU_athletics. For the latest on BCU women's basketball, follow at BCU WBB. Henson, we are approaching the end of 2023.
Yep.
Of course, you are on break from classes for the moment.
Yeah, having the time of my life. I don't have to. I turned off all my school alarms. I feel rejuvenated and refreshed. Applying for master's programs in the state of Florida and stuff. Birthdays coming up. Let's go, coming up aces in this month of December. But as we're closing out on this game for the Wildcats, a lot of good to take away for this Wildcats team. Spreading out the scoring. Everybody's gotten minutes. Good shooting percentage from beyond the arc, which has been a problem this season. Around 42%. That's decent. That's good. You maybe want to shoot from the line better, but McDonald's been shooting amazing from there. Clark is 3 for 5. Tucker might want to, even that out a bit with a 1 for 4 night, but 39 rebounds, 31 assists, which is way more than their season average. 19 steals. The only real thing that you would have to complain about is maybe less turnovers, 10 turnovers, but that's picking at straws. And 18 personal fouls. So maybe foul less. Let's not be as chirpy on the bench. Let's not get texts next game. And otherwise, a good overall team performance for the Wildcats.
105-34, 4:36 to go. The final home game for Bethune-Cookman in the month of December. Wildcats not done, though. They've still got 3 games in the next 2 weeks to close out 2023 on the road. And this Trinity Baptist squad
is done for the year.
Yep.
They go, after this game, they recoup, and then play up in Georgia.
Yep, they start conference play.
Yep, in Wesleyan.
Kayla White drives past Parrish, hands Dorsey. Parrish switches on to her. Something a little bit different from the Wildcat offense. That top of the key dribble handoff, and it leaves Tucker open for 3.
If it works, it works. At this point, I would, open the playbook. Why not try some stuff you maybe haven't tried in the game yet, just to see how it works and how it flows.
Use this as a practice session, right?
Yeah.
Get different lineups on the floor. Try some different offensive sets. The problem with throwing new stuff out at a game like this is that it's on film.
Yeah.
And teams can scout it, which is why I know a lot of coaches in big blowouts just go completely conservative, don't run anything new. But remember, this team is still relatively young. Kayla White Jr., DeShante Edwards is a sophomore. Stevens and Johnson, obviously freshmen. But Dorsey's a sophomore. Langston's a sophomore. Clark's a junior.
Yeah. A lot of time for this team to grow. Oh, and a tough shot made by Gabriella Stevens. She's having herself a night as well.
Stevens up to 6. Johnson, the other freshman, has 4. She's not on the floor.
And the defensive pressure, even later into this game, the Wildcats still pressing hard, making it hard for them to get a good, looks, good open passing lanes. Just a tough overall defense.
Stevens down low again, almost has the ball stripped. And for a team that is 8th in the Division I ranks at steals per game, I think they're going to get closer to the top after this one. 21 steals in this contest for Bethune-Cookman. They only averaged 13.
Yeah, I
almost said made it 22, but the ball goes out of bounds.
Yeah. They've a very talented defensive team, these Wildcats are. So It would be nice to see them. I mean, the men's team is doing a great job getting a lot of steals early in the season as well. So hopefully they'll carry that into conference play, which is real. The real hope is that you end up. This isn't a early season thing, and that they continue it out throughout the season. As the Eagles pass the ball in, I think
that's a block. Oh. Follow through and hit the head of the Trinity Baptist player, did Tucker. I got a note from Dan Ryan here that says this is the most points the Wildcats have scored since a 119-67 win over Edward Waters in 1986.
Wow. That is, Jesus. That is a long time ago for these Wildcats.
Yeah. And, of course, the most points ever in a game on the women's side of Bethune-Cookman is 131.
Yeah. So a little record book night for the Wildcats tonight. It's not 1 or 2, but it's in there. And, I mean, there's a little bit more time to add some more points, possibly beating out that 119.
But, again, every Wildcat possession, I think, should last 25-plus seconds.
Or not.
Or not. Or Kamara Langston's just going to take the turnaround jumper at the nail.
Maybe they also got dance techs.
6 players in double figures for the Wildcats tonight. Oh, in and out for Parrish. She almost hit her second triple.
That's a great defense there.
Another opportunity.
Board.
A third opportunity. And
one of the shortest players on the court getting that putback attempt. Just couldn't put it back in there.
Granger only has 12 rebounds all season. That was number 13. But, again,
another one. And just,
there's some practice shots from the
free throw
line from Kamara Langston, the sophomore from Chicago. But played her high school basketball
and Parrish
in Atlanta.
The life blocked out of her there.
Chariot Johnson. Open for 3. No.
Oh, wow.
Tucker goes 3 rows deep in the stands, and at that point, you're lucky that the student section isn't here tonight, because
that would have been a body.
Barreled right into the student section, and probably the men's basketball players who often stand right there waiting to take the floor in the second games of doubleheaders.
You know, hopefully the men's basketball players would have caught her or something. Real gentleman hours. Another block for Chariot Johnson. That one going into the stands as well.
Johnson gets her second block of the game and third of the season.
Yeah.
She hunts those blocks.
She in the minutes she's been given, she's played really well defensively. I mean, not really any defensive lapses out of her. And if you're going to be a 3-and-D gal, I mean, that's great.
Tough layup off the glass. Doesn't even find the rim. Tucker, who's playing with 4 fouls, grabs the board.
Yep. Now Trinity Baptist is trying this press that they haven't really used all game. They're trying in the fourth quarter with around a minute left.
57 seconds to go. Johnson, we'll see if she takes one last shot. She'll give it up to Tucker.
I think they're just going to take the air out of the ball, or not.
Stevens throws up a wild layup. Langston grabs the board. Hook shot, back iron, no good. Chariot Johnson gets the rebound. She's open for 3.
That's off.
And
that's a travel.
That's going to give the ball back to the Wildcats from Katya Bogan.
And that, with 30 seconds left on the shot clock, might be one of the last possessions of the. This might be one of the last possessions of the game.
Yep. We did not see the main player for Trinity Baptist, Madeline Tuesday. No points tonight in just 17 minutes.
Yeah.
And she averages 13 points a game and 15 points, 13 rebounds.
And, you know, we don't have the full story on what's up with her overall. We don't, you know. So hopefully she's, you know, maybe just had an off night. You know, you hope it's not an injury or anything like that. But maybe she had an off night. Height of the Wildcats team really not playing into her favor.
Well, you know who's had a good night? Emma Parrish.
Yeah.
As she goes for 22 on the night. And actually is only 1 point shy of Chanel McDonald's 23 for top score. But this one belongs to the maroon and gold as the final seconds tick off the clock. The Wildcats end their 2023 home schedule with a 3-game winning streak here at Moore Gymnasium, and actually a 5-game home winning streak, undefeated at Moore in 2023 fall. Let's get you some scoring totals first for Trinity Baptist, and right at the top, it's Emma Parrish, 22 points, 8 of 24 shooting, 1 for 14 from 3, 5 for 7 from the line, 6 rebounds, and 1 steal. She played 37 of the 40 possible minutes. Bogan had 9, Brown 3, Harvey, Toller, and Smith had 1, and that is it for the Eagles. For the Wildcats, 6 players in double figures. Chanel McDonald, a game-high 23, 7 of 8 shooting, 9 of 10 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds in 20 minutes. She didn't play at all in the fourth quarter.
Very optimal play out of her, as I said earlier. I mean, Parrish had 22, she had 23, but if you look at purely even just percentages, 8 out of 24 compared to 7 out of 8 and 9 for 10 from the free throw line compared to 5 out of 7 and then 1 for 14 from beyond the arc. You cannot say she hesitated from beyond the arc whatsoever, but I mean, a much more efficient night out of McDonald.
Kayla Clark continued her great week. She had 17, 18, and now 15 on 6 of 8 shooting, 3 for 5 from the line. Dorsey had 13, Dunn 11, Tucker 10, Wilson 10. White had 9, Langston had 8, Stevens had 6, Johnson 5, and DeShante Edwards had 4. The Wildcats shot 56.6% from the field and 41% from 3. Good night shooting all around from the Wildcats.
Yeah. I mean, compared to how we've been shooting from beyond the arc before, this is a great night for the Wildcats. You would hope that we could continue this higher shooting percentage into future games. And this Stetson trip especially, I've been actually to those games before. I went last year. It's a nice environment up there, or west there, rather, in D-Land.
Here are some team stats. Bethune-Cookman out-rebounded Trinity Baptist 43-28 and had a 18-11 advantage on the offensive glass, leading to 24 second-chance points for Bethune-Cookman, just 2 for Trinity Baptist. The Wildcats rack up 35 assists in the ball game. They only turned the ball over 10 times while forcing 38 Trinity Baptist turnovers and had 24 steals as a team. Points in the paint, 72 out of the Wildcats' points were in the paint, 30 of them on the fast break, and 50 off of turnovers. Hanson, this has been the most complete performance we've seen out of the Wildcats this year, but obviously you have to take the opposition into account.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider the opposition, it's still impressive, however, how well this Wildcats team has played. I mean, we've seen them, even against this so-called lesser opposition, struggle in certain aspects. But overall, a very complete game, good shooting percentages. Only thing you really can have a complaint about is maybe too many fouls. Otherwise, perfect performance. 10 turnovers to forcing 38 out of the Eagles. 15 personal fouls allowed by the Eagles. They only had 4 steals. Meanwhile, the Wildcats forced 24 with Kayla White by herself having 8. Chanel Wilson had a double-double, 10 points, 10 assists as the game closed out there. And no other, double-doubles or triple-doubles to speak of, but just a very good overall team performance. The least points scored in a quarter this game was 23 by the Wildcats. That's an absurd number.
That'll do it for us here at Moore Gymnasium and for all of us at the CatEye Network in 2023. For CatEye Network Director Eugene Robinson, producer tonight was Chris Shaw, our SIDs, Bryce Renowski and Brian Harvey. Henson White joining me on the broadcast. My name is Michael Cirillo. For all of us at the CatEye Network, wherever you have joined us in 2023, be it for baseball, for football, or for basketball, thank you for tuning into the CatEye Network from here in Daytona Beach or further afield. Have a very happy holiday season, and we'll see you in January for basketball conference play.